Today's lesson is from Chapter 4, Section 1B, the distributive property. Find your notes, grab your pencil, and let's begin. All right, so let's look what we've got here. We've got a 4, then we've got parentheses, a letter, and a number. Now this 4 is smushed next to the parentheses, and we know what smushing means. Smushing means multiplication. Okay, if I were to write this out, 4x plus 3, what does that really mean written out? It means I have an x plus 3 once, and an x plus 3 twice, and an x plus 3 a third time, and an x plus 3 a fourth time. I have 4 of whatever's inside the parentheses, 4 of these. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now I need to simplify that down. Kind of like a fraction gets simplified, this math problem can get simplified. So I'm going to count my x's. 1, 2, 3, 4. I have 4 x's. Then I'm going to say I've got a 3 plus another 3, that's 6, plus another 3, that's 9, plus another 3, that's 12. So that simplifies down to 4x plus 12. But we're not going to want to write this out every time, especially if this number is larger than 4. So we need a shortcut. Shortcuts are awesome. So we're going to say I got 4 of these. 4 times x, which is 4x smushed together. And I've got 4 of these. 4 times 3 is 12. So really, we don't need to write this out. We just need to multiply. 4 times the first thing, 4 times the second thing, 4 times x, and 4 times 3. Anytime you have a number times a variable, you just smush them together, 4x. All right, now let's have you guys try this. So I've got 2 outside of an x plus 6. So I want to do 2 times the first thing, 2 times the second thing. Write down your answer. Did you write 2x smushed together plus 12, 2 times 6. Okay, let's try this next one. 7 times the first thing, 7 times the second thing. The only difference is I have a subtraction sign here. So the first one had a plus sign, and so I wrote plus. This one has a subtraction sign, so I'm going to write subtract. You should have written 7 smushed with x, 7 times x, and then 7 times negative 3 is a negative 21. 7x minus 21. All right, example 3. 4 parentheses, x minus 9. This time the video is going to stop, and it's going to ask you to type in your answer. You should also write your answer on your notes so that you can go back and look at the right answers later. All right, the correct answer was 4x minus 36. Example 4. 5 parentheses, y plus 3. Did you type in 5y plus 15? Example 5. 2 parentheses, c minus 8. The correct answer is 2c minus 16. Example 6. 12 times b minus 10. The correct answer is 12b minus 120. All right, let's go to the next section. Now I have a number in front of the variable. So when I do 3 times the first thing, I've got to do 3 times 5x. So the 3 and the 5 get multiplied to make 15, and the x is still smushed. Then I'm going to do 3 times negative 9, which is negative 27. Okay, write that down. Example 8, 7 times 2x. 7 times 2 is 14. The x is just there. It's just still smushed. It didn't go anywhere, but it's just there. And then 7 times 4 is 28. Okay, example 9. 3 times 4x minus 2. The video will stop and you type in your answer. The answer is 12x, 3 times 4 is 12 with an x after it, minus 6. 3 times 2 is 6. Example 10. 9 parentheses 2m minus 7. The correct answer is 18m minus 63. Example 11. 14 times 2m minus 1. Fourteen times 2 is 28. 14 times negative 1 is negative 14. 28m minus 14. Question 12. 10 times 4a plus 2b. Okay, we've never done one like this. There's a variable here and a variable here. It just means in your answer you'll have an a and a b. 10 times the first thing, 10 times the second thing. Type in your answer. All right, so you should have typed in 10 times 4, which is 40. There's an a after it. 10 times 2 is 20, and there's a b after it. 40a plus 20b. Okay, let's review our rules for multiplying negative numbers. When I have one negative, it doesn't matter who the negative is, the bigger or the smaller number, but if I have one negative, then the answer is negative. So negative 2 times 4 is a negative 8. 4 times negative 6 is a negative 24. But 2 negatives make a positive. So if I have negative 3 and a negative 4, I get a positive 12. One negative is negative, 2 negatives is positive. All right, we've never had a negative outside of the parentheses. So that's what this section is. I'm going to multiply a negative 5 times a positive 4. A negative 5 times a positive 4 that just happens to have an x after it, so the answer will have an x. So that part makes a negative 20 with an x. The x is just there. And then this is really weird and difficult for some students, but you have a negative 5, and that subtraction sign is really a negative sign. It's both. Is it a subtraction or a negative? It depends. If I'm just reading the question, 4x minus 3, then I say that's a subtraction sign. But if I get rid of the 4x and I only have the subtraction sign, I don't say subtract 3, I say negative 3. So I need to think of this as a negative 5 times a negative 3. Negative 5 times negative 3 is positive 15. Positive 15. So when I put all of this together, my final answer is negative 20x plus 15. Because what kind of 15 is he? He's a positive 15. And I have to put something, so I put the plus sign. Positive 15. Negative 20x and a positive 15. Negative 20x plus 15. Okay, let's look at this example 13. I've got a negative 9 times a negative 6. Two negatives make a positive, so I write positive 54. Then I put the x after it because he's just there. He's smushed and he doesn't go anywhere. He's just stuck there. Then I'm going to think of this as a negative 9 times a positive 1. A negative 9 times a positive 1 is negative. So I write 54x minus 9. Positive 54, but a negative 9. Okay, let's look at this one. I've got negative 3 times positive 2. Negative 3 times positive 2. Well, that makes a negative. So I've got negative 6x. Okay, then I've got a negative 3 times a positive 6. Negative 3 times positive 6 makes a negative 18. So my final answer is negative 6x minus 18. All right, you try example 15. I'm going to put negative 4 on the outside. I'm going to put positive 3x and a negative 5 inside. All right, so we've got a negative 4 times a positive 3 and a negative 4 times a negative 5. So my final answer is negative 12x plus 20. Okay, example 16. I'm going to have a negative 10 on the outside, a negative 3x plus 2 on the inside. So negative 10 times a negative 3 is positive 30. Positive 30x. A negative 10 times a positive 2 is a negative number, negative 20. Example 17, negative 4 times negative x plus 7. Okay, you've got a negative 4 Now this one doesn't look like it has a number, but when there is no number, that's a 1. So I've got a negative 4 times a negative 1. Two negatives make a positive, so my answer there is positive 4 smushed with x. And negative 4 times positive 7 is negative 28. All right, your last example. Negative 8 times 3x minus 6. Okay, so I've got a negative 8 times a positive 3 and a negative 8 times a negative 6. So my final answer is negative 24x plus 48.